How you been?
I've been so great. We have not talked. I mean, we've talked, but not extensively because I've been out of town, and it
Yeah.
looks like you're out of town. Where are you right now? You're coming to us from a cabana?
I just want to show my commitment to the pod. So yeah, I'm out
Wow.
mountain at Shelter Island. Yeah,
How do you get
just
to Shelter Island
so you it's a 2.5 hour drive
from New York City?
from New York. So you drive through like Long Island and everything, and then you have to take a ferry, like one of those drive-on ferries.
Yeah,
So it's drive on ferry, and then yeah, now we're here. Yeah, good old Doc is doing a gig tonight for or tomorrow. I'm helping her out, so we drove out.
amazing. Well, that sounds like a fun little accidental weekly gig. How have
Uh,
you been? What's going on? Tell me everything.
I've been good. Been good. You know, New York in the summer, especially after the month we had. It's just, it's a lot. It's a lot of decompression
Is it hot?
in a weird. It is nightmarishly hot. It's
So
insane.
so I don't want to get the podcast off to a depressing start, but I was overseas and it was very hot. They were having a massive heat wave and we were in Croatia and they have these old medieval towns and medieval stone walls and like people there are living in very small apartments, but they're like stone and it just absorbs the heat. And I'm like, this is not sustainable. Like at what point are we going to start worrying about life without, like, if air conditioning goes out, we're in trouble as a species.
I mean, we've been watching Mad Max. You just got to adapt. You just gotta. We're headed towards a Mad Max wasteland where everything is just a desert. No, that's I know it's tough. Uh, can we talk about? Is it still called global warming?
Yeah, I think the better term is climate change because I definitely think we
Climate
are
change.
having severe climate change.
Yeah,
Yes, the planet's probably getting hotter, but I don't think it's a political issue. I think anyone who's paying attention to the news would be like, yeah, everywhere is really, really hot and we're having lots of climate activity.
yeah. It is not. I'm not a fan of the climate activity that's been going on. We've had heat advisories every day the past week, 2 weeks, I think,
Yeah,
maybe.
I'm kind of shocked. Like I'll be scrolling through Instagram or whatever, and I'll be like, oh, look at this highlight, this game, this blah blah. There's lots of good games going on right now in the WNBA. And then I'll see like some horrific story about people dying and flooding and fires and all this stuff. And I'm like, I feel like such a bad human to just keep scrolling through doomsday. Do we need to be paying more attention to the state of the world and be more proactive and anxiety ridden about what's going on in our world?
Oh, wow.
Existential question to start off the pod. Happy
All right.
vacation.
I mean, as we're talking about it, it's too hot to be sitting out here. Oh, I'm going back. I'm going back.
As
It's
we
too damn
speak,
hot.
you cannot withstand the heat, so you have to go back inside.
Exactly. There we go. Oh boy. Okay. Jeez. Real hard. Are you doing okay, Mom?
I'm doing great. I'm
You
so
doing all
great.
right? Okay. Okay, good. See, this was very doom. It started out very doom and gloom.
Yeah, I don't want to be doom and gloom. July is a fun month. I think it's a fun, exciting month with lots of fun. I just got back from vacation. Can I tell you just quickly about my
Yeah.
vacation?
Let's do that. Let's have fun. Let's make this a fun podcast and not focus on
Okay,
the
not the Why is the World on Fire podcast.
the world is coming to an end. It feels like, but it will probably just keep going.
Well, I went to Croatia and you and I have had this conversation a lot through the years. I have never watched Game of Thrones and I felt bad in a sense because a lot of the spots we traveled to in Croatia were places where Game of Thrones had been filmed. So we are taking like this tour of the Diocletian's palace that is a place that's been there since Roman times. And we're down in these dungeons and they're like, oh, this is the scene where who had dragons? Someone had dragons.
Daenerys had dragons.
Yes, so I went to the place where Daenerys kept her dragons and got a picture there. And then I went to um, Dubrovnik, which is a medieval walled city. It is one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. Fascinating place. I would highly recommend anyone who hasn't been to Dubrovnik, you should go. But we went to the staircase where the Walk of Shame was filmed. Do you know what I mean
Yes,
by this?
actually. So this is funny. So we're obsessed with Ted Lasso, right?
Right?
So the main, what is her name? Hannah Waddingham.
Waddington. Yes, I love her. I follow her on social media.
But I don't know if you could call it a breakout. She's been working for a long time. She's amazing. We all know acting is not like a linear kind of career. It takes time. Ted Lasso maybe her breakout. I don't know what you'd consider that as, but she in the show is a part of like this cult who this character who's a monster gets put into, and then to be absolved of her crimes, Hannah Waddington or Waddingham,
I think it's Waddington.
Waddington.
Keep telling the story and I'll get back to you on that. I'll double check.
But so for this woman to be absolved of her crimes,
Oh,
or
Waddingham.
different,
You were right. I was wrong. Waddingham.
she plays this like kind of priestess or whatever for this cult. And so she walks behind this character just yelling, going like, shame, shame, and like screaming shame behind her as this woman walks naked through the streets of Westeros. King's
Okay.
Landing, I think. So yeah. So that's a fun
So
little.
I walked up those stairs.
There you
I
go.
walked up the stairs to where that happened, that scene happened. I didn't know anything about it since I haven't seen the movie, but our tour guide on our walking tour said that they have had a little bit of a problem because tourists want to come and reenact that scene. And as you mentioned, the woman is without what during the scene?
She's butt naked. She's in a birthday suit.
So I do think there have been some tourists that want to go down the stairs and do the walk of shame in their birthday suit in Dubrovnik in real life.
That's gross.
It, it wouldn't be for me. It wouldn't be for me. Maybe in the middle of the night if you're
But
out
why
on
would
a
you want to do
bender.
that? I mean, you know what? Maybe we can't kink shame if that's a kink, but like, why would you want to walk down some stairs naked and have somebody yell shame at you? That just doesn't sound like a fun tourist thing to do.
Well, I think if you were a really big diehard Game of Thrones fan, maybe you would be into it.
I guess. I think about this with you know what? Okay, we're gonna do a funny bit here. We'll call this Max failed stand-up bits or practice stand-up bits. Because I've been thinking about this a lot lately with like fandoms, and I think I can be fandom racist, where we're all nerds, but some fandoms I just don't like. Does that make
So you're
sense?
saying like the Game of Thrones fans,
I'm
they
not a
annoy
big
you.
fan of the. Well, okay, I shouldn't say that because they might come after us. We'll get in trouble. But no, whatever. I don't like because I grew up on Lord of the Rings, you
Oh, and
know,
you feel like they're competing fandoms?
and I feel like it's like everybody's like Game of Thrones is Lord of the Rings for adults, and I'm like Lord of the Rings is Lord of the Rings for adults. Like those, I'm a myth purist in the sense of like those things have lessons and stories and are beautiful um weavings of tales to help you with any problem
Allegories.
and
Yes.
allegories, right? And then so when you do one for adults, they just add boobs and heads getting chopped off. And
Well, it's
it's
funny. It's funny you should say that. So my tour guide in Dubrovnik, her friend worked as a makeup artist on Game of Thrones, and they
mhm.
used these gelatin boobs, gelatin breasts in part of the scenes. And so her friend kept the gelatin boobs and they would play tricks on her son around the house. Like he'd come in and the boob would just be sitting on the bed or, like in a pot or a pan. And so she was telling us this funny story about how they would use Game of Thrones gelatin boobs as pranks. And I thought that sounds perfect. That's something we would do in our family. So, anyways, but I do want to get back to your fandom really quickly. So,
Oh yeah.
I would identify as a Harry Potter fandom. What is your biggest fan? Like your biggest fan? What are you the biggest fan of? So here are mine. I would say Harry Potter. That's something we did together. We would go and wait like until midnight at Barnes and Noble. Every single book release that came out, you and I, we would dress up as Harry Potter. Um, you dressed up as Harry Potter every day of your life for about a 4-year period from 8 to 12. I remember taking you on flights and games and stuff, and you'd have your Harry Potter cape on.
I think it was a little bit earlier than 12. I'm going to tell a story. It's not a happy story, but it is funny if you think about it. It's funny and sad. It's a little bit of both.
Okay.
So I think it was a little bit before 12. I think it was like 11-ish. And there was a Halloween where I think you were out of town, you had a game. And so I went with some family friends to like a new neighborhood and went trick-or-treating. And of course, I had to be Harry. And so I'm dressed as Harry Potter. Got the glasses, I got the scar, wearing the whole getup, right? And we go to this house, and I just remember I have these memories with lots of major heroes. It's one of the reasons I want to be an actor, or am an actor. Is we go to this house, and the lady's like, "Oh, who is everybody?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm Harry Potter." And she's like, "Oh, Harry Potter's not black."
Oh.
And I think I was about 11. I was 11, which, well, it goes to show you how smart some people are. But so
Oh.
after that, I was like, it's time to hang the jersey up
Hang the cape up.
and hang up the robes and the round glasses. Wipe that scar off one last time.
Oh, that's a heartbreaking story.
I
But
know.
it does explain why one year for Halloween you wanted to be Harry. I think you were a little younger, like maybe 7 or 8 at this point, and you wanted, so you're biracial. Show
Yeah.
the family, show the people your hair.
Ooh.
Even though it's bad, just take your hat off briefly. Super curly, super curly. So not Harry Potter hair, obviously.
No, not
And
straight white
you asked
British
me,
hair.
and should I say begged me to give you a straightening perm. So, back in the day, I don't know, some people might still do this. Black people would do chemical straightening perms to straighten their hair.
Mhm.
So we gave you a chemical straightening perm so that your hair could look more like Harry Potter's. And I was like, "Are you sure? Are you sure? I don't think we should do this." And you insisted. So I will say we did try to make you Harry every possible way we could.
Yeah. Well, I think it leads to a bigger lesson in life where you just eventually it's like our heroes conversation. You try to be like people you admire, and then eventually you just kind of take qualities that you like from everybody and you be yourself.
All right. Well, you were a damn cute Harry Potter.
If they,
Damn
in the
cute.
next reboot, if they ever do the cursed child, I'll try to get a good word in. I
Yeah.
actually have a story about Daniel Radcliffe that I will tell off air because I don't know if I can say it on air. I think it's more of a private thing, but you will love it. Don't let me forget.
Okay. Okay. I'll remind you. All right.
Okay.
So, Harry Potter. We're big Harry Potter fans.
We're big on
I am
Harry
a
Potter.
huge. I'd say my other two things that I'm obsessed with. Shaka Khan. I'm obsessed with Shaka Khan.
Yeah.
Actually,
we talking?
your second word as a baby. So your first word you ever said as a baby was mama.
Mhm.
And your second word you ever said as a baby was Shaka, which I'm super proud of because, that was the era that Shaka Khan, let me rock you, Shaka Khan. Let me rock you, that's all I want to do. Shaka Khan, let me rock you, Shaka Khan. Let me rock you, I feel for you. Do I feel for you? Okay, so I won't do the whole thing, but I could if you wanted me to. Let me tell you if
Honestly,
I feel
I
for
think
you.
that should be a bonus. Can we do a bonus episode that's just you
Bonus
into the
episode.
mic?
Yeah.
I
Let me
love
tell you
that.
what I want to do. Do you feel for me the way I feel for you? Shaka Khan, let me rock you, Shaka Khan. Let me rock you. That's all I want to do. So Shaka Khan would be my second. And then Charlie Wilson, Uncle Charlie.
Well, okay, so this is important. Are we talking about just nerd fandoms, or are we talking about fandoms in general?
Well, I'm obsessed. I would say a fandom would be something you're obsessed about.
But I mean, like, are we talking about the quote unquote nerdy ones that it's like The
Oh,
Matrix, Star Wars, Harry Potter,
oh,
Back to the Future? Are we talking in
oh.
general? We're going top like fandoms of artists. I'm up for that too. But we gotta have specificity.
Well, you were saying that you're biased against certain fandoms. So what are yours? And what would people think are nerdy about yours? What would you say is your top 2 or 3?
So I would probably go, oh, this is tough. I've never because some of them are just movies that I love, and some of them right now, okay, I'll say Harry Potter, same, obviously. Um, Indiana Jones and Back to the Future are two big ones. And then I kind of have my toes in a lot of other ones. And then Star Wars, I've been on a real Star Wars bender lately. Found a podcast that was talking about them. I've been rewatching kind of random ones out of order.
I think if you listen to a podcast about Star Wars, you're probably a little bit geeky in the most charming way, right?
Yes, I agree. I agree. I love Star Wars. They were great. I mean, now it's kind of fun to look at it like, because you watch it as a kid and you love it for a bunch of reasons. And then you watch it as an adult and you learn like, you kind of judge it a little bit more. You're just like, that's dumb, or well, that's great, whatever. But then also you kind of like, you learn these new little snippets here or there, and like a character pops out for you that you just kind of relate like more to and understand a little bit more, you know? Which is
I agree.
that's why I love those. Like that's why I love Harry Potter and Star Wars, and I like nerdy stuff because you get a little piece of you can get a little something from it always.
Mm. I love how our conversation about my last nerdy thing that I love is Murder She Wrote.
Oh
I am an obsessive Angela Lansbury fan. Do you remember the one time we were staying in a hotel in New York and the Tony Awards were going on across the street? We saw them on TV and I saw that Angela Lansbury was there. I left our hotel. I ran through the streets and waited in line behind barricades so I could get a glimpse of Angela Lansbury. Like I've been to every Broadway show she's ever done in her career. I would fly there, get tickets. Like I'm obsessed with Angela Lansbury. Rest in
we saw
peace.
her in A Little Night Music.
Yes, we did. Yes,
And
we
then
did. And she was great with Catherine Zeta-Jones.
yeah, I okay. I I'm a big Mask of Zorro nerd
Yeah.
because we had that on VHS, and so we had one TV with DVD and cable, and one TV that only had VHS. And so if we didn't want to watch the same thing, I would be banished to the VHS room. Banished. I would just go there, and I would be like, "That's where I'm going to be." You watch your whatever sports. I'm weird, but we had Mask of Zorro, Wild Wild West, and like Men in Black on VHS, and so I would watch them incessantly. And I watched Mask of Zorro again, and I'm gonna posit something to you. Tell me how you feel about it. I think that is the hottest two individuals have ever been in history. Antonio Banderas and
Mm-mm.
Catherine Zeta-Jones. Unbelievable. That scene where they're dancing, it's
Mm.
just oh my
Hot.
I missed that.
Hot
I
for
want
anyone.
more of that. It's gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
It's stunning. Like
I would say the only other couple I would say would compete for that is Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie in Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
yeah, but they don't have that just there's just a musicality and a little bit of like
Nice.
their sassy is a little bit too mean and a little removed, you know, but the playful banter with Antonio and Catherine Zeta, it's just so
So the beauty of all of this is I can right now go downstairs into your movie chest and we
mm,
still have that VHS. So when you don't find me later tonight, you'll
you
know
move
I'm somewhere
that
by
movie.
myself watching the Mask of Zorro.
Which it's a great movie. It does, you know, there's some problematic stuff. Anthony Hopkins is playing a Spaniard, but we move past it.
Oh, oh no, is he?
It's, you know, but and he doesn't try at all. He stays completely Welsh. He is a Welsh
He's
man.
got a Welsh accent.
No,
Want to be Spaniard. I don't know Welsh accent, even though I am Welsh. We are Welsh. Did you know
we
that?
are Welsh. We
Yeah.
are. But he tampers the accent down, but it is still a man that they're like his name is like Montego. So
Oh,
but what
and
can
he
you do?
doesn't even try to be a Montego.
No, but I mean, and I think he's wearing bronzer, but the movie itself is spectacular.
Okay.
That
I
is
will be rewatching that. All right. So we went on a little bit about vacation, but that brings me right to my
yeah.
chaos theory for the day. I know you're on the road, so you may not have had time to write some down.
No, we literally pulled in right when we started the pod.
Okay. So I have two but it goes right along with what we're talking about, which I love how we got into this so naturally. These are my two, if you can see them: vacation do's and don'ts, and best vacation memories. So you pick one. Which would you love to talk about? Because I thought it might be fun for parents. We've traveled a lot in your life. I love to travel. We love to travel. And this time of year, I feel like a lot of families are traveling, and it can either go really well, or it can be a cesspool of anger and negativity because parents want to do one thing, children want to do another thing on vacation. And I think it can lead to some tension. So, what would you
Yeah.
say were good vacation memories, that were positive, that you're like, okay, this was great, we should replicate this? And then what are some things that maybe parents should be aware of not to do?
This is we'll do a little we'll tie them together.
Okay.
Because we've been on some great vacations. Fantastic. Just lucky. I'm a lucky kid. Let's go with okay.
You've had your passport since you were 3 years old.
Yeah.
You went on your first international trip at 3 years old.
Oh, let's do a passport update real quick. Okay, so I know where it is. It was delivered to Sonic Yoga, which is below my house. The issue has been I have knocked on the door at 1:30 p.m. and at 8:30 p.m. and nobody answered. I've emailed them, I've Instagrammed them, and I found the guy who had texted me saying I had something about my passport delivered. He's on vacation, so I'll give him a pass. But he said he was going to put it underneath my door, and he never did.
Okay, so we think
So
you may have a passport.
we're zoning in on the mystery of the passport.
If you're new to the pod this week and you don't know, McKylin has been trying to get his passport renewed unsuccessfully for 1 year. So this is a big update.
I was successful in my renewal, which I would like to be vindicated in the vitriol I was receiving about the not doing the renewal. I got on the phone. I finally got somebody on the phone.
Okay, good.
They finally found me. I realized an issue was I think they were spelling my name wrong the last two times I called. So I spelled my name. What is it? Where you do like the M, like the tango, like the how you use like another word to describe the letter. What is that called?
Right, like Mary, Charlie, Tango.
Yeah,
Beta, like that Alpha, Zulu.
So I literally pulled up that alphabet and I did that to spell my name, and they got it. I think everybody was putting an A for the Y. I don't know. So it's renewed. It is delivered. Now I just gotta get it. If I don't get a response from them in the next like week, I'll just do a new renewal and just like expedite it.
No, we're not doing a new renewal. We're getting it from Sonic Yoga.
Okay, so I'm on a
just following through on that.
I'm on a tear for Sonic Yoga. Anyways, okay,
can I give you a really easy suggestion that maybe you haven't thought of, but should be easy to think about?
Yeah.
Look on their door or pull up their website and see the hours of their classes, so you know someone will be there.
I did that. I don't know why they didn't answer. I wonder if maybe they won't answer during
while a class is going on.
And I had looked it up and they didn't have any of the hour, like none of the, but it might have been a schedule of like there's a class going on at this time and these are the last classes open. I'm on the case.
You're on the case. Oh my gosh.
I'm narrowing in. It's like when Angela Lansbury would be at some guy's house and be like, "It's him." We know who the murderer is. Now we know
who the murderer is. It's so funny. I think I told you this, but I was like walking through the stands at the World Series, and I was having fans of the podcast stop me and say, "Did your son get his passport yet?" So I'm just so grateful that this nightmare could possibly be over. Oh my gosh.
Hey, sometimes I come through. Okay.
Okay, go back. So think of your best. Can you think of your best memory as a vacation as a kid?
It's best at different times. It's always moving. It's a moving target.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. It's a moving target for sure. But I would say ones I can think of now. Okay. So a great memory I have is going surfing in Hawaii with Godzilla. Remember that?
Oh my
Godzilla,
gosh,
our
yes.
Hawaii, our surfing instructor, and he was teaching us how to surf. We did 2 days. First day, Godzilla was really hands-on. It was so much fun. It was like this kind of quiet little part of the beach. It was amazing. It was you, me, my cousin Rachel. Amazing.
And we were getting up on the board and surfing and riding it into shore. Like we thought we were surf geniuses
Ama
overnight.
Amazing. Another great memory I loved, and I was just talking about that with Doc, is I loved the Louvre.
Oh, in
Louvre in
Paris.
Paris. That was really, I loved that a lot. Especially you were always, I was singing you a lot of praises in the car today because we were just talking about weird stuff we had to do as kids. And if I really wanted to watch a movie or something that you thought wasn't necessarily appropriate, you would make me study the subject and then I could watch it. Which I was like, why do I know so much stuff about random pieces of pop culture and blah, blah, blah. And it was because, like, if I wanted to watch the movie 300, I had to write a 3-page paper on the Battle of Thermopylae.
Oh my gosh, I totally remember this. I was like, well, if you're going to watch that movie because it's a little inappropriate for your age, at least you're going to learn about the Spartans and history and Greek mythology and all the things.
Exactly. I took more time than the filmmakers did. But so we when we went to the Louvre, you made me, because we were really into the Da Vinci Code, and so you made me read the Da Vinci Code before we went. And I think I got through the Da Vinci Code, and and when I went to Rome, you made me read you made me read Angels and Demons before I could see those movies, and we went to the real places before we even saw them. Genius, genius. If you have the ability to do this, if you have a trust fund and you don't like your kids, do this to them. It's fun. It's like a little scavenger hunt of content. More people should do this. But we went to the Louvre and I loved, and it's a memory I'll always cherish because it's not necessarily like a good thing. It's like we were talking about. We did the Da Vinci Code tour of the Louvre. So randomly throughout the tour, you'd be learning. It's regular tour, regular tour, regular tour, regular tour. And this is the window where Robert Langdon jumped out of the window and landed on the soap bus. And you're just like, all right, we were just learning about the Mona Lisa, but I guess we needed the
I
movie.
do remember thinking back, like that Da Vinci Code tour was really dumb. Is that how you remember it?
Yes, it was just silly. Like
It was
we don't
silly.
need. Yeah, we did the tour of like how they go through the Louvre in the movie, and like looking back, I'm like, it would have been nice to just learn more about the random part. But this is fine.
Yeah, I think you were only like 12 or 13 at that time, though. So I
But
think it was my way of being like, he might be too bored to spend a day at the Louvre, but maybe if he's attached, because you love movies and you love capers and all that stuff,
yeah.
this will be a way to entice your mind to be interested in the Louvre.
Oh, the best one. The best time you did this. This is the best one. I have it now. When National Treasure was coming out, and I was like 8 years old. Maybe I was 10. Was that 2004? I was 9. So you made me go to all of the places that we saw in the trailer of that movie because it's going through like masonry and American history and going to like the Liberty Bell and like the mall and the Washington Mall and the monuments and the like everything. And we went to New York and we visited a bunch of the places that like are in the movie. You made me go on a tour of the Northeast where a lot of this movie had like mystery stuff and learn about American culture and
Yes,
history
we went to
before
Washington,
I could watch them.
D.C. We went to Washington, D.C. We went to Philadelphia. And then we went to Boston. Do you remember the Red Line tour in Boston where the bricks go through the street and you follow them to like Paul Revere's house, his grave, the Battle of Montezuma Hill? And I remember you were young and maybe 8 years old. And I remember you looking at me at the end of the day and just being so sad and being like, no more Red Line, Mom. I can't find no more Red Line, please. None.
It was a lot. It was a lot, but it was amazing. I think
But look
we
how
always
smart
try to
you
like.
are now.
I know, I know, I know.
Sometimes we finish the podcast and I'm like, man, I don't know if I was a very good mother. And then today I'm finishing the podcast and I'm thinking, man, I was a kick-ass mother.
I never want you to feel like that after the podcast. Well, I was also talking about this with Doc. I think that moms, if I say I have a problem, you feel like it was your fault.
Right. Oh my gosh. Okay. I've been saving this quote, and maybe this is where we can end because I know we've been going too long, but
Oh,
I've been
well, this is a
saving this
great end.
quote. I've
We're
been
doing a
saving this quote all week because I thought it was really good for the podcast, and I hope I can find it right now. Oh, because sometimes we argue about, like, I'll have this vivid memory from your childhood, and you'll be like, that didn't happen. And we have differing memories of what happened in your childhood. I saw this quote: they won't remember, but I will. Their childhood is also my motherhood. And I just love that quote of, like, we're both going through these intense, important periods of life, childhood and motherhood. And we're going to have good memories and bad memories, but it is the most precious time of life. And it's still going on. Like, I know you're 29, but in my, in my heart, you'll always be that 9-year-old Harry Potter in the cape. And like, I just love that we share such an essential part of life together.
That's the new Beverly Hills Cop. It's great. You showed me that as well and started me on my journey of loving comedy and action movies and everything. I give you that's all in your court. I said I liked it, and you have fostered that love and brought me here. But the new one came out. Well, that got me a little choked up. But the new one came out, and there's a line in there that speaks very much to that as well, where he's like, "When you were 1 year old, I had been a father for 1 year." So however your childhood and my motherhood are, that quote speaks perfectly to, like, you've only been a mom for 29 years. And
Right.
so
I'm still working on it. I'm definitely still working on it.
And I'm working on just being a person in general. So we're crushing it.
The person with a effing passport. Hallelujah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Person with a passport.
Oh,
But
well, I love you, sweetheart. Had a great vacation, and I can't wait to take you, because the one thought I did have on vacation is I was like walking along the top of these medieval walls around Dubrovnik. There's so many of these places I want to show McKylin. So I'm really grateful that you'll have your passport, so now we can go and see some great spots in the world again.
Hell yeah, it's gonna be great. I'm excited.
All right, love you, honey.
I love you too.
Mwah.